Hey everybody, it's Jared with Big Mill Motorsports here. Had a big weekend of racing, Friday race and a Saturday race. First things first, coming off of the Florence win, which is awesome to say. I didn't change a single thing on the car. I figured it was awesome. I am not going to mess with it. That probably was a bad idea. Either way, Friday night we went to Atomic Speedway. I got there maybe a half an hour after pit gates open, and I was the first Legends car there. They tell me to go all the way to the back boonies, and I'm out there by myself until Ashley shows up, and then we end up moving up closer to everybody else. And that's something I always struggle with. On asphalt racing, you show up when the pit gates open, and you want to get there. You want to be there when the gates are opening and get in and get unloaded, and they get things rolling right away. On dirt, if pit gates are supposed to open up at 4 o'clock, you want to show up at like 5:30, maybe later. And that's something that I haven't gotten used to, haven't gotten figured out. But if I had $1 for every time I was the first car at the track by over an hour this year, I'd have several dollars here. So either way, I showed up early, which ended up being a good thing because I never took the car out of the trailer after the Florence win. I was just too excited on Sunday, and I ended up just farting around, and my wife and I went and celebrated and hung out, and I ended up just not doing anything to the car. So I got to Atomic Speedway, had plenty of time because I was there an hour before anybody else showed up. I changed the oil filter, cleaned the oil cooler, dirt out of the oil cooler, ended up vacuuming the inside of the car, had plenty of time. So I got everything done that I wanted to get done there. And then when people showed up, we actually moved our pits up closer to everybody else. But so I was the first car to show up. In the driver's meeting, they were talking about lineups, and the other guys were asking me if I registered and what pill I drew. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you were supposed to register. I didn't draw a pill yet. So after the driver's meeting, I go over and I go to ask to, hey, I need to draw a pill. I'm a Legends. And they're like, oh, we've already made the lineup. I'm like, well, I'd like to draw a pill. I was the first guy here, for crying out loud. No, too late. We've already made the lineup. We're just going to put you to the tail. So a little frustrated with that. My bad. I didn't realize that I was supposed to go register. Nobody told me that. It's kind of frustrating that I was the first guy there, and now I had to start on the tail. But it is what it is. I'm not gonna have a hissy fit over that. So either way, only had 8 cars show up. Now that was kind of disappointing. Granted, it was not a Ohio Valley Roofers Legends sanctioned race. This was kind of Atomic doing their own thing with no tech. Nobody showed up with dirt tires, which was fantastic. Although I think all of us that showed up at one time or another over the previous week asked the Atomic Speedway officials what rules they were following and if dirt tires will be allowed, and they kept saying no. So that was a good thing. But only 8 cars showed up, so they were scheduling us for an 8-lap heat race and 15-lap feature. And instead of doing 2 heat races, they just did 1 big heat race. Makes sense. Go out there in hot laps, and I tell you, I don't know how to describe Atomic Speedway. Anderson Speedway is really high banked. Probably. Well, I've actually looked at the numbers. I think it's pretty much equal to Bristol. And you look at Atomic Speedway, and it very well is equal to that, if not maybe banked a little bit more. You're literally like looking over the edge when you're in the pits, and you're looking down into the racetrack. It's amazing. You have to, even leaving the track, you kind of have to goose it a little bit to come over the crest. Otherwise, you'll high side your car. Absolutely amazing, absolutely fun. In hot laps, got 2 or 3 hot laps, right? Not sessions, just laps, which still drives me crazy about dirt racing. So I didn't really get a chance to try much. Everybody told me you got to run the high side. Don't even try running the low side. But the track really wasn't worked in a whole lot by the time we went out. so I couldn't run really high. But I got out there and pretty much made sure the car wasn't going to fall apart. Went out for the heat race, started last, and got a really good start. Came through 1 and 2. Was thinking I was getting close to passing a car on my inside or what was in front of me, and I don't know what it was. My depth perception, the lighting, the way that their backstretch is, which there's actually the banking softens and then there's like a ledge up there. I don't know what was going on in my brain, but I didn't think I was going to make the corner. I didn't think I was going to make turn 3. And they have these big barrels right there. So the backstretch is wide open, no wall, and then the wall starts, and where the wall starts, there's these barrels there. And I was thinking, crap, I'm not going to make the corner. And if I try to make the corner and don't make it, I'm hitting those barrels, and it's going to be ugly. So I ended up bailing to the right, which luckily they had kind of a runoff area up there. And, kind of crapped my pants a little bit. Luckily, they called a caution. I went back out. I had already been starting last, so that wasn't. I didn't lose any spots by that. And so we did a complete restart. On the restart, of course, as you guys saw, my camera on lap 1 or 2 of that restart, a rock came up and shattered the protective lens of my GoPro case. So you can't see a ton. But for me, it was an awesome run. I started last, and oh, by the way, while we got out there, they changed our lap count from 8 laps to 6 laps for the heat race. So I'm, starting last. I've got 6 laps to do whatever I can do, and I managed to do great. I ended up passing 4 cars in 6 laps, made it up to 4th place. At the checkered flag, and it was fun. I was running 3 and 4 like a madman, flying it in there, and from what some folks were telling me from the stands, that I was driving 3 and 4 harder and faster than anybody else, and in 1 and 2 I was just kind of meh. I was okay. I wasn't losing a lot. 1 and 2, there was a really big bump going into 1, so I kept driving over it, and my brain just couldn't figure out how to drive over it, above it, below it, or whatever. So I don't know, my brain couldn't comprehend that. But I was making up a ton of time in 3 and 4, so that was great. So I start the feature 4th, and again, I'm on the outside row, which is fantastic. And we go and we get started, and I think within a lap, I'm up to 3rd, mostly because the guy that was in 3rd was starting on the bottom, and I had a better run on the top. And maybe on the 3rd lap, I drive into 3 a little bit too hard. And I don't know that you can appreciate it from the camera view that I had, but my car just shot straight up towards the wall. I jumped the cushion, and I was on top of the cushion up there. Felt like I was, 6 inches from hitting the wall, and lost my momentum, and the 4th place guy passed me. Maybe 2 or 3 laps later, there was a caution for another car, so we relined up. I started 4th. Was running really good. In fact, I was still running 3 and 4 pretty hard. 1 and 2, I was getting figured out. I was getting 1 figured out where I actually drove above the bumps, closer to the wall. But 2 was just a mess. It was like landmines went off. I felt like going through there, if I didn't have a bead lock on my right rear, I would have dug a wheel in, and this car would have been destroyed. It was chaos. I was just trying to hold on to the car as I'm like going as fast as I can through there, and it's bumping and slamming my head, and the wheels, I was trying to take the wheel from me. It was freaking crazy. And luckily, I think the 2nd place car for some reason started going to the bottom side, and then 3rd place and myself ended up passing him. So I ended up finishing 3rd out of 8 cars. I'm pretty happy for my first time there. They only ended up letting us run 12 laps instead of 15, I guess because we had so few cars. kind of frustrating. I mean, all of us showed up. What the hell are 3 more freaking laps? Not that it probably would have changed a whole lot in the outcome, but either way, I had a blast, and I seriously cannot wait to go back there. I think I've learned a lot. I think my car was too tight, and when I was going through the corners, I had to lift a lot and then burp the throttle to get the car to rotate. And I think that if I would have been able to get the car to rotate on its own, I probably could have really made up a lot of time and really had a chance there. So I definitely want to go back to Atomic Speedway. I don't know if it's my favorite track because Florence, I mean, duh. But it's definitely up there in terms of dirt tracks that I would love to race a hell of a lot more. So I'm hoping that we get a chance to do that next year. So either way, that was Friday night. Saturday was Brushcreek's final race of the regular season here, and the weather wasn't looking so good. But I came home. I didn't even take the car out of the trailer. I'm like, hey, I'm not going to change anything. I'm going to run the same setup, the same gear. Not even going to wash the car. So I didn't do anything there. I actually came home and on Saturday morning was working on the Model A and ended up putting a set of modern shocks on it and got the tires off the wheels and get the wheels off. I'm going to get those sandblasted and painted, and I've got some new tires coming that I'm going to put on there. So I got a lot of work done. Around noon I come in and I'm watching my Iowa Hawkeyes play football and checking Facebook, and I see one of our fellow racers, Alec Fields, had posted, you know, hey, here are the gate times for today. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's like way earlier than what I anticipated. I imagined I didn't have to leave the house till 4 o'clock, get to the racetrack at 5:30. And it turns out that Brushcreek moved up the schedule because of threat of rain later in the night, which is totally smart, totally cool. I'm lucky that I saw that from Alec Field, so I'm telling my wife, all right, now we got to leave 2 hours earlier than we planned. You know, let's start getting ready. And we got out of the house at 2 o'clock, I think, or 2:30, and got to the racetrack just in time. So got there in time to see the drivers meeting and go out there for hot laps. Unfortunately, there were only 12 cars that showed up at Brushcreek, and I don't quite know why. Maybe it was the threat of weather, although from what I understand, most of the people that run Brushcreek are from the area. Hell, I'm probably the furthest one away at an hour and 45 minutes, but only 12 cars showed up. That's probably the lowest car count that we've had all year at Brushcreek. So I ended up running just one big heat race and one big feature. The car felt a little bit tight in hot laps, but I didn't really know what to think. The track was not awesome. It hadn't rained for weeks down at Brushcreek, whereas raining everywhere else. So the track didn't really get any moisture in it, and it just didn't feel that great. I go out for so I ended up qualifying 6th out of 12, which for me, I was disappointed in. I thought I was faster than that. It was probably my selection of line during hot laps. I was running the high side. I probably should have ran down low, but I thought the high side is where I could have found the moisture at. Either way, qualified 6th, so I started my heat race 6th. Let's see, on the initial start, maybe for the first lap or so, lap or two, lap and a half, felt pretty decent. I was running a little bit of a higher line, had gotten close to passing somebody, and then the caution came out probably right as I was passing her. And then we had to do a restart, and when we restarted, Ashley and I had a great race. It was side by side. She was running the line I wanted to run. Obviously, we can't run 2 cars in the same spot, but I ended up running lower to try to see if I could get some drive off, and I just couldn't get that much drive off. And so her and I had a great race side by side for probably 3 or 4 laps. I could see Steve Parton in my mirror, and he was coming up on both of us, so he was faster than both of us. And we were either holding him up and he was getting antsy, and I swear, man, I thought he was going to take her out. I thought he was going to take me out. So, but he got past both of us and went on to do better things in the heat race. But ended up passing Ashley after all of that. And I I don't know. I gained a spot, lost a spot. I think I started 6th and I finished 6th. Just kind of ho-hum. Feature came, and the track in turn 4 was really starting to kind of tear up. I guess the closest I can come to explaining it is it's almost like a layer of dirt is like delaminating. It's like it's not a rut per se, and it's not a divot. It's like somebody took an inch or maybe more slice out of the top. Only it's like in a patch section, like took a chunk of dirt out, and it got really rough in turn 4. So I struggled to kind of figure out what line to run. My wife said that I was running pretty much the same line as everybody else, but it didn't, it didn't feel that great. I didn't feel fast. The car didn't feel bad. Maybe I was a bit tight, but I didn't feel bad. I just wasn't fast. So started 6th. I don't know where I finished. Probably 6th. Gained some spots, lost some spots. Really didn't make any progress. But I had a good night. We were able to get out of the racetrack at 9 o'clock, I think, which was fantastic. And now I'm like, I don't know why racetracks don't do everything earlier, and then people can still have stuff to do later in the evening. But it was fantastic. Got to the racetrack at 4:15. Got out by 9. Had some great racing. Had some fun. Was able to get home and chill and relax with my wife for a little bit. And then went to town. Strangely enough, the rain never did come. Well, I think it came later in the night, but we made it all the way home. I back the trailer in, go to unload the car because I knew it was supposed to rain Saturday night and all day Sunday, so I needed to get everything unloaded right after the track. No joke, I am unlocking the ramp door on the back of the trailer, and it freaking starts pouring down rain. We had made it all the way home, gotten the trailer backed in, and it starts dumping down rain. And so we're scrambling, running around, getting soaking wet. It's kind of fun. Got the car unloaded, got the toolbox out, got the trailer all buttoned up and put away. But either way, it was just funny that, that's the way things go. I made it all the way home before the rain started. Either way, so that was this past weekend. That was fun. I love Friday races, and even an early Saturday race was fantastic as well. Let's see, schedule-wise, the last planned race of the season right now for us is a week and a half away. It's at Portsmouth, Friday night, October 20th. It's the big, I don't know, what is it, dirt track world championships or something like that, dirt car world championships. Late models, $100,000 to win on Saturday. We're racing on Friday, which is one of their preliminary nights. But it should be great. Should be tons of fans. Should be even bigger than the Hillbilly 100 experience, so to speak. I'm going to try to do a pit walkthrough video there as well. That should be pretty cool. As far as the car setup goes, I'm going to leave the same gear in it, 358. A lot of people said that Portsmouth runs really fast, or at least it feels really fast, so I'm thinking that the 358 is probably good. And if late models are running that much on there, maybe the track will slicken off a little bit more, which will just make the 358 be the better gear in my mind. Setup wise, I've got to go through the car. I'm going to probably do that Saturday. I'm going to check the rear end squareness. I'm wondering if some of my tightness is that my rear end isn't perfectly square. So I'm going to check that. If it is square, I'm going to probably do a half a round around the whole car to loosen it up, and we'll see how that goes. The grand scheme of things is that I think I've got something messed up in my setup. My car, I have been loosening it up all year long, and I don't think it. I think there's got to be something wrong. I don't know if I've got some of my geometry messed up. But I'll have to figure something out in the off season. Maybe work with the Miller Performance guys or Kyle Beatty down in Charlotte. Try to figure out what I've done wrong in my setup here. but we'll figure that out. Either way, so our next race is October 20th. There is a Brushcreek race November 4th, but right now I'm not planning on going to that. I've got other plans that weekend already, and so I just don't think we're going to be making that race. That could change, but I highly doubt it. I've got one more thing. I do need your guys' opinions. This weekend, I ran a different forward-facing camera view. So a lot of people had asked for more of an in-car camera, and I've tried running a full in-car camera before, and for me, you just don't get a really good view of the track because of the windshield screen and things like that. So I've been putting it on the B pillar here, and I used to do that when I'd run asphalt. On all my heat races, I'd run it on the B pillar so that before the feature, I could actually see what the car was doing in the heat race. I could look at my left front wheel, and I could look at my steering wheel, and I could see, was I tight, was I loose, kind of what was going on to try to help me when I didn't know what I was feeling. So I ran that view this past weekend. Obviously, I don't know if it was good, if you guys liked it, but I definitely plan in the off season, now that I have my new welder, welding on some permanent GoPro mounts into the chassis in different locations. So I need to know what you guys think of that view. If you liked that view, that's great. I'll look at putting a permanent mount to the frame for that camera. If you liked the roof cam view, let me know. If you think there's another view that you would like to see, let me know. I can try that out. I can probably try that out for the heat races at the Dirt Track World Championships. Or, just let me know what you guys think. So I like to experiment. I like to try different things. I really don't think a suspension cam is going to work on dirt because it's probably going to get clogged up with dirt real quick. So, but let me know what you think about camera views. I will talk with you guys again next week. I'll tell you what I found in my setup in terms of my rear end squareness and what my plan is for Portsmouth, and then we'll go from there. All right. Thank you everybody for watching. Have a great night.